This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Welcome, everyone, to the GSMC Sports Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Jeff Malinoff, and with me once again is Mark Souza. We have a lot to talk about. We got Monday Night Football, we got the NBA, we got some college football playoffs, and we got other things to talk about in the final segment. But we'll start with Monday Night Football, shall we?
Yes, we shall.
And Houston Texans moved their winning streak from 7 to 8 in a row after their 0-3 start, which is pretty darn remarkable, all things considered.
Absolutely. 8-game winning streak in the NFL is pretty hard to do. I don't care who you are.
Starting 0-3, like we were saying at the beginning, how, like, man, maybe Deshaun Watson's ACL injury was maybe too much for him to overcome. Man, they proved everybody wrong.
Absolutely, absolutely. They now have an 8-game win streak. Only one team has a bigger win streak than them. What team is that?
Who is that, did you ask? Well, it has to be the Saints.
It does. And then they would be second with 8. And then I believe the next highest team would be a 3-game winning streak. Or no, 5-game winning streak by the Bears. So 8-game winning streak is incredibly tough to do. And I think they've done that pretty under the radar, if I had to give my opinion on that. It seems like we haven't really discussed that. I know we haven't discussed that a lot. I know on national radio I haven't heard it being talked about a lot either. It just seems like Texans have flown under the radar this entire time.
I could see them being a dark horse for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely. At this point, I mean, they keep beating everybody in front of them. Sometimes it's pretty, sometimes it's ugly, but they still keep getting the results.
And honestly, with the Titans, Mariota had a 95.7 completion percentage, what is the second highest all-time in a single game. You know who it's behind?
Say that again. Mariota had
a 95.7% completion rating, which was second highest all-time in a single game.
I would say it's behind Alex Smith.
Phillip Rivers, 96.6 completion percentage. You know when that happened?
It happened on Sunday.
Correct. So we witnessed two of the highest completion percentage games in NFL history for a single game in a matter of 48 hours.
And one of these quarterbacks lost pretty big, which is kind of funny.
Which you can't really... I wouldn't blame Mariota for the loss, to be completely honest. He had 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. Yeah, he was sacked 6 times, but that's not his fault.
He was good yesterday, but he still left a lot of plays out there that I from what I saw.
Oh yeah, he missed a lot of receivers. He kind of went for the easier passes, no doubt about it. But You know what? What a hell was like a running game. Like, Dion Lewis had 7 rushing attempts for only 8 yards. Derrick Henry had only 8 rushing attempts for 30 yards. And, like, you need it. I know, like, this team obviously doesn't really trust running the ball, but sometimes you got to use the running game a little bit more than that.
Yeah, and when these two teams first played at the beginning of the year, the Titans had a difficult time running the football. I think most people thought they'd probably struggle yesterday, but yeah, I mean, you still got to figure it out. I don't know if you have to run different plays or what, but what really shocked me yesterday about the Titans offense is Dion Lewis, 7 carries for 8 yards. I think about 5 of those carries were right up the middle. You have a shifty running back going right through J.J. Watt.
And your line has nothing really to write home about. Yeah, and going through J.J. Watt, that's a great idea. The man is a wall of a person.
I mean,
if a wall was a person, he would be him.
We saw J.J. Watt either cutting down the running back in the backfield, or at least disrupting the run play, which blew it up and made Henry or Lewis not go anywhere. Maybe lose a yard, maybe get no gain, but Yeah, I just was a little surprised on their approach. It was almost like they kind of waved the white flag, like, we're not going to be able to run the ball today, so we're going to try something else. But, you still got to have a different approach. I feel like they didn't game plan very well in terms of how to run against the Texans, who are incredibly tough to run against, I have to say.
and who ran the ball really well, unexpectedly, was Lamar Miller.
Miller had a big game.
We have talked about in our fantasy football podcast how he's been in a lot of our dud remarks, and this game was anything but a dud. He had a 97-yard touchdown run, which ties his career high because he had a 97-yard touchdown run when he was with Miami in 2014.
Yep, and he's the only player in NFL history with 2 touchdown runs over 95 yards in his career.
Isn't that insane?
That is insane. And it was a backbreaker, the one that happened last night, because the Titans get stuck at the 2-yard line or 3-yard line, and very next play, 97-yard touchdown run. I mean, it went from Titans looking like they're going to get 7 to them getting stopped on 4th down and getting none, and then they give up 7. That's a 14-point swing, and I thought that was the determining factor in last night's game.
Yeah, and Lamar Miller's average that game was 13.5 yards, 13.5 yards.
I think it was a little bit helped by 97.
I don't know about that.
I mean, he had a good game regardless. He was ripping off all kinds of chunk plays yesterday.
Oh, yeah, he was tearing them up.
Yeah, so he had a good game. See, on the flip side, I loved what the Texans were doing running the ball. How many times did you see Lamar Miller? I mean, yes, it's easy to look at the touchdown run, 97 yards, but how many times did you see him on his, 13 carries? How many times did you see him not
12. He had 12.
How many times did you see him not be touched until he was 3-4 yards down the field? I mean,
probably half, 50% of the time.
At least, yeah. When you get a running back that doesn't have to break a tackle until he's 3, 4, 5, 6 yards down the field, you're going to be ripping off chunk plays.
It's so weird that the Texans are always in a playoff spot. Feels like every year.
They were doing great last year until Deshaun got hurt. They were on fire. They were kind of the talk of the town, at the beginning of the year for the NFL. I mean, they were like, wow, look at this Deshaun kid. The Texans are winning. This offense looks dynamic. And then
John J. Hopkins was falling in love.
And then the guy tears ACL in practice, of all things. Like, that was a big blow.
That happens a lot, unfortunately.
That was a very deflating thing that happened yesterday.
Oh, yeah, it had to hurt.
Last year.
And... all right, I didn't ask this. This is so off topic, but the Titans' new jerseys. Do you like them? Yes or no?
I think they're fine. Why you don't?
I like the helmets. I like they changed the helmets up. I like the colored. I always dug the white helmets. I thought they were cool, but I always like when a team changes up.
I like their color scheme with the dark blue, light blue, and red. I think it's aesthetically pleasing,
Yeah. It just felt like it was almost like the same team was playing this other, it was a scrimmage game because they had the same helmets almost. Mm-hmm. It was a little thrown off. But I like the new color scheme. Also, the Jaguars' new look also helps them because, let's face it, the half gold, half black was gross.
Yeah, that previous helmet was terrible. I'm still not crazy about the Jaguars uniforms, but they definitely improved.
They're nicer to look at. I miss their old logos, to be completely honest, but we're getting off topic. Anyways, I'm getting myself off topic because I just like talking about jerseys sometimes. Honestly, the Texans could use a remodel of their uniforms. They haven't changed it since they became a franchise.
Yeah.
But anyways... do you see the Texans being a dark horse for maybe being in the Super Bowl or in the AFC
I think they
game?
could definitely make some noise. And my feeling about the Texans is it's not who you are now, it's where you will be when it's time to play in those elimination games in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And the Texans are showing me that they're getting better and better. Deshaun Watson is showing me that he's recovering more and more week to week from his ACL last year. Lamar Miller had a good game last night. He continues to be a decent option. They also get their running back Deontay Foreman back. He should be playing this coming week. He could be a boost in their running game. We saw Demaryius Thomas score a couple touchdowns last night. I still don't know if he really adds anything to that offense, but at least it gives him a red zone option. And then you got a guy like DeAndre Hopkins, who might be the toughest wide receiver to cover in the NFL. You pair all that with a defense that can get after the quarterback. The Texans might be one of the most balanced teams in the AFC. And as of right now, I think they're sitting in third.
Third?
In the conference.
That's actually kind of unlikely.
They're ahead of the Steelers. They're behind the Patriots and the Chiefs. So with that being said...
Yeah, they're good at like the worst times because there's so many teams that are that good.
Well, now they're in they're looking at a playoff bye now. They control their own destiny.
They're looking at a playoff bye now. That's insane. That's insane to look at.
And if you look at their schedule, Jeff, they play the Browns next week. That won't be an easy game, but they are at home. They play the Colts the week after, but again, the Texans are at home. Then they finish the year with the Jets, the Eagles, and the Jaguars. They could legitimately win 4 of those games.
I could see them winning all of them, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they'll be the favorite in all of those games. And I would say the toughest game on that schedule would be the Colts. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Isn't that weird? Because the Colts not that too long ago were kind of a laughingstock.
They beat the Colts already, and this time they're at home. So
I don't understand the world anymore.
The Browns game, though, will be interesting. The Browns have been playing a lot better. So if they win this game, they'll definitely be looking at a 9-3 record, then hosting the Indianapolis Colts.
Also, Demaryius Thomas scored his first touchdown as a Texan.
He did. He scored 2.
Well, also it was kind of a garbage touchdown, but regardless, they already had the game kind of sealed by that point.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the second one for sure. Yeah, like I mentioned, I don't really know if he adds anything to that offense. I don't know. But, he's a big body. It's always
nice to have a name on there.
Yeah, he's a big-bodied receiver that he did last night is kind of what I see his upside being for the Texans. A big-bodied
touchdown
possession receiver, yeah, that scores touchdowns here and there when the defenses focus on Hopkins, who they should be, obviously.
Yeah.
So, the Texans are pretty good. Do you think that they're a contender in the AFC? Do you put them in the same category as the Chiefs, the Patriots, and the Steelers? I know their record says that they are, but do you put them in terms of how strong you think this team is? Would you label them in that category?
That is a tough question, but I will have to say yes. How they're looking on defense and offense, like on both sides of the ball. I mean, this team looks like a serious,
of the 4 teams I just named, they probably have the best defense, right?
Yeah.
Chiefs, Patriots, Steelers. Those aren't really good defenses.
That's their problems, is their defensive side.
Mm-hmm.
And with this, and the Texans' offense, like how good they're being, I can compare them with a lot of the offenses in the league that are top, considered top offenses. I know that made sense.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, what I'm basically saying is the Texans are nothing to look down upon. If you meet them in the playoffs, which you probably will, I would be like, oh no, we're playing the Steelers or the Texans.
Yeah, I think the AFC teams, the other 3 that I named, would want to avoid the Texans, at least early in the playoffs if they can. And they'd probably rather play a team like Baltimore. But then again...
Isn't that funny how that Baltimore's the number one defense in the league, and yet you would rather play them than the Texans?
Yeah, just because of the offense. I mean, if Lamar Jackson ends up being the quarterback for the rest of the year for the Ravens...
He probably will.
And he's probably going to be exposed in the playoffs, right? Like, he'll probably do well, and then when he plays in a big game on the road, we'll see him, have a tough game.
Exposed in the playoff, I can, yeah.
Because right now he's really a one-dimensional player. He can't really throw the football that well yet.
I feel like he can only improve, though, no?
Oh, yeah, and this year will be a great learning experience, but it's probably just a little too early for him to go win playoff games on the road,
Yeah. And, again, he's a rookie. He's just starting to get into a form. I don't think he was expected to even start this season, to be honest with you. I think he was thinking, okay, I'm going to sit out this season, wait for Flacco to destroy himself for this season, and then I'll play next season. And it came a little earlier.
If the playoffs started today, we would see the Steelers play the Chargers in the opening round of the playoffs.
Huh. Fascinating.
Yeah, interesting. We've talked about the AFC being maybe a step behind the NFC this year, but if you look at the top teams, like the top 5, it's pretty solid in the AFC. You got the Chiefs, the Patriots, the Texans, the Steelers, and the Chargers. That's a really good 5 right there.
Yeah, like, we talk about how like sometimes the NFC or AFC one is superior to the other. Mm-hmm. I can see these two conferences being pretty close in talent, don't you think?
NFC better up and down, but AFC might be better at the top.
Yeah, like I don't know. I just feel like the AFC usually is like not looked at as highly as the NFC, which is understandable just based off history. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I wouldn't underestimate any AFC contender right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got to look at the Titans, though.
Yes, but go on.
I was going to say, are they a playoff team? I mean, right now they're not, but things can change. But do you see them crawling back into this race and ultimately getting the last wildcard spot? Obviously, it's the 6th spot we're talking about. Baltimore is currently leading, but then it's Indianapolis.
Yeah,
and then you got Miami, Cincinnati, Denver, and Tennessee.
I don't see the Titans getting to that postseason. I just don't.
Yeah, they play. Although they have a pretty favorable schedule coming up.
Let's be real; they weren't even that good last year.
So they play the Jets, the Jaguars at home in the next 2 games, and then they play the Giants, a Colt McCoy Redskins team. And they finished the year with Andrew Luck in the Colts. Mm-hmm. That's not a bad schedule either, though. Like, they could win those games for sure.
Mm-hmm. And there was some highlights for them in the game against the Texans. They had Jonnu Smith have that 61-yard touchdown pass. There were a lot of big yardage game touchdowns. There was Corey Davis's 8-yard touchdown. There was Jonnu Smith's 61-yard touchdown. There's Lamar Miller's net. It was a big, fun game to watch when it comes to big plays like Madden style. So there was good takeaways for the Titans for sure, but I don't see them making the playoffs.
And the over-under was 41 points, and it was obvious early that was going over.
As soon as like a lot of those touchdowns happened in like the first half too, so you're like, wow,
there's 31 total at halftime. So
that's insane. It's unreal.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know if I see the Titans as a playoff team, but I don't think they're done. I think it'll go down to their game against the Colts. Okay. Yeah, I'm not a big believer in the Ravens, to be honest with you. I'm just not.
Speaking of playoffs, as of before through week 12, you want to hear the teams that still have a chance for a playoff berth?
In the AFC or overall?
Overall.
There's probably only, 5 or 6 teams that don't have a chance?
Everyone has a chance. Still.
Everyone is still mathematically.
Can you believe that? So the 2-win Cardinals, the 2-win 49ers are still available to make it a playoff berth.
Yeah, but there's no way that would.
I know it's like
they would need to win out and have every.
They need
single
Papa
thing
Shango
happen.
from the WWF back in the 80s to help them out in this one.
Yeah, well, the Packers haven't given up hope, according to Aaron Rodgers. So you never know.
Yeah, well, what is he going to say?
You know that the Packers and the Browns have the same record?
Wow.
4-6-1.
Wow.
Yeah. The Cleveland Browns and the Green Bay Packers have the same record.
The Browns actually have a good chance to make the playoff. Like, maybe not a good chance, but still a logical chance. Their schedule looks pretty good.
How much money could I have won if I would have told people that the Browns and the Packers in week 12 or going into week 13 would have the same exact record?
I would call you crazy, put you in mental asylum, and say it's for your own good.
Right? So, yeah. Anyway, are we going to break?
Sure, we can go to break if you want. We will be right back.
Talk a little NBA.
The National Basketball Association of America. We'll be right back right after this.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
You know, I have a date tonight.
Say what?
I have a date tonight.
You have a date
Yes.
with your PS4 or?
I have an Xbox One X.
Oh, your ex.
My Xbox One X, which is awesome. I've been an Xbox guy. I have a PS2 I still play though.
So tell me about this date.
Oh, I think we're just gonna go do something casual, but it's a date.
Tuesday, so you know.
Well, like she gets off work a little early, and since I work in the mornings, I have a lot of free time. So yeah, got a date.
Okay. And what are you guys gonna do? Traditional date or?
I think she goes to UC Davis, so I think we're just gonna.
She's an Aggie.
Yes, so I think
In agriculture.
I believe she's.
I never understood that.
Neuroscience. I think she's something in neuroscience.
But I never understood the nickname the Aggie. We see with Texas A&M, UC Davis. There's other schools called the Aggies, but is that short for the agriculturalists or the agricultures or the?
Well, it's a horse. Is their logo?
Yeah,
is it
it's
not?
a Mustang.
Yeah,
it's an interesting logo. It's an interesting mascot. I mean, their logo's fine. The mascot's kind of weird, but go UC Davis.
Yeah, she works in a lab on campus. I don't remember. I am a bad date because I don't remember what the. I will find it though.
It's all right. You can study your opponent before you actually
environmental
play the
science.
game,
That's what it was. Got it.
All right. Well, good luck with that.
Thank you.
Hopefully it goes well.
Hopefully she doesn't listen to this podcast. All right, good opener, right?
Yeah, right.
Right. That's how we do it here. Very casual.
Speaking of dates,
that wasn't planned.
Speaking of dates, the Warriors had a date with the Magic last night.
How'd it go? Where'd they go?
They went to Oakland. They actually went to downtown Oakland, California, in the Bay Area.
What food did they get?
Probably some overpriced French fries and maybe, I don't know, a $15 beer.
Burn.
Yeah.
Burn.
Well, you know how it is.
Have you had their overpriced fries in Oakland?
No, I'm just saying it's California and it's a sporting event. You know those things weren't cheap. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
So Kevin Durant had 49 points last night. The Warriors go to 15-7. Durant is on a tear right now.
They were down 18 in this game at one point.
Yeah.
And the Magic blew it.
Durant, I think he's gotten over his issues that he had a couple weeks ago with Draymond and all that because the guy has been scoring at will.
Draymond's not been playing because of a toe sprain, so maybe that helped.
Yeah. You could say that when he comes back, though, which sounds like might be the next game. Sounds like Curry and Draymond might be available to play this week. Man. This Warriors team, I know they've gone through some turmoil, but they could get hot here pretty quick if Durant is hitting on all cylinders and they welcome back Steph and Draymond. And you know who's looming around that Christmas holiday for his comeback? DeMarcus Cousins. This Warriors team, they might be trending up. It's kind of weird to say that, but you know what I mean.
Trending up. I know what you mean.
Yeah, so they win 161-10. The Magic, I thought, played well last night. I know that they gave up a lead, but hey, you're playing the Warriors. Like, you know you're going to give up a lead. It's all about if you can, I guess, overcome their comeback. But I'm impressed with the Magic so far.
Yeah, I am too. I know they kind of struggled in this game to take the win, but
they're up 17 at the half. I don't say that saying like they messed up or they choked or anything like that. I just mean like that's impressive.
Against the Warriors, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. There's another player who scored a lot of points last night. Do you know who it is?
Klay Thompson, Terrence Ross.
Not in this game, but around the NBA.
Oh, in this game? Around the NBA?
Yes.
His
team lost, though, but he put up 54.
Oh, the Houston Rockets.
Yeah. We saw a
135-131 overtime game.
We saw a sweat-banded James Harden.
It looked weird, didn't it?
It does look odd.
It's like remember when LeBron wore a headband, then he stopped wearing it. It's just like what's going on? What are you doing?
It almost distracted me from the fact that James Harden can grow a perfect beard on every part of his face around his mouth, which is the absolute weirdest thing to me.
Do you think he got like implants or something?
Usually, when you grow facial hair for guys, like when we have beards and facial hair, it's hard to. How do you have hair from all the corners of your mouth, like all the way around? Like that's what I want to know.
I think it's fake.
I mean, it's not fake.
I know, but like implants.
Didn't James Harden go to your alma mater?
He went to Arizona State, not Arizona.
Oh, he went to the better Arizona
school. Oh,
school.
You want to fight right now?
Did you see that explosion go off?
At least my
here?
school has some. At least my school gets on national television. Chico State.
Hey, Chico State's been undefeated in football since like 1987, bro.
Haven't they not had a football team since then?
Hey, they haven't lost. Never lost.
But they haven't had a football team.
They're like LeVar Ball. Never lost.
How do we know he never lost, by the way?
Because he said it.
But I'm not going to
You ever seen that Keenan skit on Saturday Night Live? When
Yes.
Keenan plays LeVar Ball and says, 6'8". He's like, beat Michael Jordan. Never lost. Like,
But we don't have proof. I need, like, okay, I can say, hey, I'm also 6'8", 250 pounds of muscle. That doesn't mean I'm actually 6'8", 250 pounds.
Jeff, you can identify with however you want. I will not judge you. All right? This is a welcoming environment.
I could say my girlfriend is a supermodel. You know it's not true.
Well, we know you don't have a girlfriend.
Because I'm going on a date.
Yeah, you told her. The cat's out of the bag.
Again, you need proof.
Yeah, I guess.
I need video evidence of LeVar Ball's one-on-one matchups.
Yeah, that probably ain't going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah, because it's not true.
So what'd you think about Harden's 54? The Wizards get
He
the
had
win,
13
though.
assists also, so he added some assists to there. Didn't have a triple-double, though.
Yeah, he had a good game. Chris Paul, he sat out.
He's been sitting out a lot.
Yeah, he sat out last night. They probably could have used him, I would say.
We should also look at how good the Wizards played, though. Bradley Beal and John Wall both had over 30 points. 36 for Wall, 32 for Beal. Like,
How could this be, Jeff? I thought these guys wanted to leave.
I don't know.
That's now 2 impressive wins in a row for the Wizards. They beat the Pelicans by 10 on Saturday. They win against the Rockets yesterday. So, hey, for a team that's quote-unquote imploding, they're looking like they're on the upswing right now.
Like the implosion's going back inside.
The good thing about them is they play in the East. All of a sudden, they're like right near the playoffs, like after a couple wins.
Isn't that unfair almost?
The weird thing is that they play the Pelicans again. They play the Pelicans twice in 4 days, and that's the only time of the year they play the Pelicans. In 1 week.
I'll get it out of the way, right?
I guess so.
You know who beat a good team it was surprisingly?
Who's that?
The Hornets beat the Bucks.
Yeah, the Hornets have been a nice little team. Kemba Walker, he's been on a tear this year.
Giannis had a 2013 game, almost a triple-double with 9 assists, so close to that triple-double.
That's a really terrible Giannis game, even though that's an awesome stat line.
Yeah, 2013 and 9.
He's so good, it's actually
He
ridiculous.
had 3 blocks also. Honestly, I can see him getting like 10 blocks in one game and getting that triple-double that way.
Isn't it funny, though? You look at it, you're like, 2013-9, I guess Giannis had an off night.
Yeah, 20 points, 13 rebounds, 9 assists. And
you're
call
like,
that an off night.
well, Giannis, you can't be great.
Are you
every
okay,
night,
buddy?
Yeah.
Where most people would kill for that type of stat line a game, and that's off for him.
I'm surprised the Hornets lost this game. Their starting 5 had some pretty good, at least statistical games. But yeah, their bench I think got killed in this one.
Yeah,
but
shows how crucial the bench is for certain teams.
Yeah, Kemba Walker is only 3 for 12 last night, 21 points. So he kind of had an off night too, and the Hornets still found a way to win. They're 10-10.
Yeah, they were relatively close games yesterday. You know what wasn't close? Pacers and Jazz.
Yeah, we need to talk about the Jazz, man. This team is on struggle street.
And it feels so sweet?
Yeah.
Or is it, well,
not if you're a
easy
Jazz
street
fan.
and it
If
feels
you're a
so
team in the
sweet,
Western
so-
Conference not named Utah, then yes.
So if
feels
it's
so
easy
sweet.
street and it feels so sweet, struggle sweet tastes so bland? Bitter?
Sure. So,
I made a funny.
what's going on with the Jazz?
Donovan Mitchell is not playing. I think that's a huge...
Do you know that the Jazz lost 121-94 against the Pacers a week ago?
Really?
Yeah, they lost by 27 to the Pacers, and then yesterday they lose by, 33?
And the Pacers have their number.
Yeah, what's up with that? The Pacers have been a good team, don't get me wrong. But, man, we expected Utah to be so much better. I think most people did.
I think people thought them could be a dark horse to take down the Warriors or take down the Rockets.
I will raise my hand because I definitely did. I thought the Jazz were going to finish as the number 2 seed before, and I don't think they're going to be in the top 4. I still think they could be a playoff team, but, man, I would be lying if I said I was confident that they would get back on track because this team has been a very, very poor team. Do you know that every player not named Joe Ingles on that team are shooting 30% from 3?
37%?
30%. So the entire if you
less.
take Joe Ingles, who's a good player, out of this equation, the Jazz are shooting 30% from 3. Jay Crowder, who leads the Jazz in total 3-point attempts, is shooting 28%. Donovan Mitchell, last year's rookie stud, some people would say the real rookie of the year. He's shooting 29% from 3, albeit he's been out the last couple days. Is that his nickname, the real rookie of the year? Some people say he's the real rookie of the year, right? They don't agree with the whole Ben Simmons getting rookie of the year because he was actually in the NBA for 2 years.
True. But I understand why that's how the rookie of the year works. Like your first year of eligibility or your first year actually playing should be your rookie year.
Right. I get it. But, some people are salty about that, right? So, what about the T-Wolves? They got a win against the Cavaliers.
So did everybody else.
Hey, the Cavs had won their previous game.
Burn.
The Cavs had won, the night before? 2 nights ago?
I guess. But
they beat the Rockets.
Yeah, but they're still the worst team in the NBA.
Yes. I think most people...
Sorry, Cleveland. You still got the Indians, and you still got the Browns.
Hey, at least the Browns are on the upswing.
How many wins do the Cavaliers have? Like 3 or 4?
The Browns and the Cavaliers have the same amount of wins.
Let's let that sink in, folks.
Yeah. Problem is the Cavaliers have played 19 times, and the Browns have only played, 12 times? So, yeah, that might need to change.
It has to change. When you're tied with the wins of a team that plays 10 games less than you do, roughly, that's bad.
I know it was on Sunday, but how about Jimmy Butler's game winner twice in 1 week for the 76ers?
The 76ers with Jimmy Butler as guest host.
It's been a nice addition for them.
Yeah. He said in an interview that he can see this being his home, so he might resign at the end of the year.
Oh, he did he?
Yeah.
I could see that. I could see that partnership working. I think Jimmy Butler just wants to win. I really do. I really feel this way. And I think he's in the best city that gives him the proper amount of chance to win plus recognition. Like for the best team, Like he needs the recognition, I think. Well, I mean, like if he goes to a different team, let's just say he goes to the Celtics. Okay, they have other players. Like they have Kyrie, they have other guys that are established.
He wants to be the guy.
And maybe in Philadelphia he's not the guy, but the other guys are Simmons and Embiid, who are completely different players than him. So it gives him the chance to kind of be his own superstar and make a mark on this league, right? So,
Embiid, I feel like would get more attention though.
Oh yeah, Embiid is their best player. I will
and he's
argue
entertaining.
That. Yeah, he's.
You see him watching Dragon Ball Z.
He's delightful
on his phone during warm-ups. That one, like he watched Dragon All Z on his warm-ups. He was watching GT, which is not the
kids
best
these days,
I mean, GT's not the. It's all about Z, or even I
don't know about this, man. You've lost me.
What, you don't know about Dragon Ball Z?
I know what it is.
You got to watch it. Okay, what were you watching when you were younger?
X-Men.
Okay, Dragon Ball Z is kind of like, not really, but it's more violent.
Like Saturday morning was like X-Men for me,
Man, Dragon Ball Z was mine.
Yeah.
That and there was another one. Well, SpongeBob, obviously, but like with superheroes, there's Batman.
That was before that.
Batman, the animated series, was also one of my main ones.
Like I would have liked
Batman
SpongeBob.
Beyond was good too.
I would have liked SpongeBob, but I was too old for that.
I have a VHS tape of SpongeBob's episodes.
VHS?
Yeah, when they were selling them. When they sold those things.
Jeez.
Isn't that incredible?
That is.
And I also have a VHS tape of Jimmy Neutron, if you remember that show.
I do remember him.
Good times. Anyways,
I want to talk about...
if you want to watch Dragon Ball Z, check out Dragon Ball Super. You'll be so confused if you haven't watched it recently, but honestly, it's a really good show.
I want to talk about Boston and New Orleans. The Celtics won 124-107. The Pelicans
keep talking about... Wait, I want to keep talking about Dragon Ball Z. All right, fine.
The Pelicans are now 10-11 after that really hot start. Do you think that they're just in a slump right now, or do you think they're closer to a 500 team than maybe a team that... I don't know, we'll finish with 50-plus wins.
Possibly.
And Boston gets a win. Hayward still doesn't look like Gordon Hayward, which is notable to me. 5 points in 23 minutes. Something he's just, I don't know. His recovery's taking a long time. The starting five, though, did well for the Celtics. You had 3 players over 20. Tatum, Horford, Kyrie all had over 20-point games. So Boston gets back on track. They're 11-10, so we'll see if that's the game that they can build on. Spurs down the Bulls 108-107. Spurs have been shaky. They're at 10-10, but they get the win last night.
They got the win. They got the W.
So I think that's it for the NBA. What do you say we go to a break and come back and talk a little college football? Who's going to be in the playoffs? Who will be crying next week on the outside looking in? Maybe saying that it's not fair.
Wait, crying?
Crying. Because you know there's going to be at least one team, Central Florida, at least one team that will be on the outside looking in.
If they make it, you're going to have a foot in your mouth and it better taste good.
They're not going to make it.
You don't know.
There's literally nothing that can happen this week that can put Central Florida in the college football playoffs. Nothing. And I'll explain why when we return.
Never give up.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
When's the last time you went on a date?
I'm married.
Okay, you can still go on a date.
You know, Jeff,
You can still take your wife out on a date.
with my lovely and beautiful wife, every day is a date.
Oh, what a kiss ass. Oh.
Put it in the books and set them to the line.
Oh, gosh, gross.
Yeah. You see that? That's me hanging my hand up in the air after I just nailed a 3.
Yeah, let's see what she
That's
says.
me running back down the court with the 3, with both hands up in the air with the 3s out there, you know? Or should I do the eye where they do the eyes?
Stop it.
Okay.
Moving on.
Or maybe we should try and do the limbo celebration.
Stop it.
We need other people, though. We can't do it, too. Anyways.
We need literally one more for that to work.
At least one more. We might be giving too much credit to our athleticism here, but yeah. Anyways, let's talk college football. What do you say?
Sure.
All right. So the stage is set, Jeff.
Not
we
yet.
all know.
Whoa.
Well, the stage is set for this edition of the drama. We still are waiting for the college football rankings to come out today, but we can assume where everyone's going to be. So I want you to follow with me.
I'm following you.
Before we get into the meat of this.
I lost you.
You need to tell me if you agree with where I think everyone will be sitting at when the rankings come out, okay?
Okay.
Number 1, Alabama. Slam dunk. Number 2, Clemson. Slam dunk.
Whoa, hold on a second.
We're just talking about right now. They're undefeated.
Okay.
I'm talking about when the rankings come out today, not what will happen in the future.
Okay.
Notre Dame, number 3. They're
Okay.
undefeated. Then we got Georgia at number 4 because they were number 5, but Michigan lost. Michigan was number 4. Michigan will drop, obviously. So would you agree with that? Georgia will be 4 when the rankings come out? They'll move up 1 because they won their game?
It is possible, but I wouldn't leave out, like, Ohio State even jumping that high. To be
So
clear.
then let's say the top – let's just say Georgia's 4 in this, and then Oklahoma and I think Ohio State would be 5 and 6. Doesn't matter which was which, but would you agree with that?
Yeah, but honestly, that 4 spot can go to anybody.
I got Michigan dropping out. I got LSU dropping out. Washington State dropping out because they all lost. Then I have Ohio State jumping Central Florida because they were 10. Central Florida was 9. I'm sorry, Central Florida, but you're not going to be in the college football playoff.
You are going to get some backlash.
They just aren't going to make it. It's not me hating on them. I actually would like to see them in it, to be honest with you. I love rooting for the underdog. You remember a couple years ago? Not a couple. It's been a while. Do you remember when Boise State played Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl?
A couple, dude. That was 11 years ago.
I said not
I know.
a couple.
I know.
I
but-
corrected myself. Do you remember that, though?
Yeah, I do. And the Statue of Liberty play. Yes, everyone knows that.
How awesome was that game? That was one of the best college football games, in my opinion, of all time.
Yeah, true.
Because you had the true David versus Goliath. You had a literal Statue of Liberty play to win the game. Like, come on. Like that's a Disney movie.
Has anyone actually used that play since?
That's a Disney movie. That's the annexation of Puerto Rico, right?
And didn't
there.
the guy propose after that?
Yes, he did. See,
I heard they got a divorce. I could be wrong on that thing,
oh my
though.
God, you can't just say that unless you're sure. I heard they got a divorce. Like, come on. You either know that they did or they didn't. All right.
All right.
Stop
all right.
slandering these people.
Hold on, I gotta look this up now.
All right. While you're looking that up, you need to do 2 things at once here. Okay.
Yeah.
This weekend,
Yeah.
Ohio State plays Northwestern.
Yeah.
If Ohio State beats Northwestern and Oklahoma beats Texas in their championship game, who gets the final playoff spot, assuming that Alabama takes care of Georgia? Who will it be? Assuming Alabama beats Georgia and it's just 2 teams, Oklahoma and Ohio State, they both win their conference championship game, who gets in? I need to know. The people need to know.
Well, that's a tough one you're asking. But, you got to go with, like, the next ranked. So I think Oklahoma squeaks in.
So what you're saying is whatever the rankings come out will be the determining factor. Whatever the rankings are this week. So
Yeah, if Oklahoma's number 5 and Georgia loses to Alabama and everything else remains the same,
and Ohio State wins.
Oklahoma. But Ohio State does have a chance. But they are.
I'm telling you right now.
But the thing is, they're playing a weaker team than what Oklahoma's playing.
I'm telling you right now, I don't see Ohio State being left out of the college football playoff if they win. I just don't. We can say it's not fair. We can say, I know Ohio State had a terrible loss to Purdue. I understand that. I realize this, and a lot of people think that is an unacceptable type of loss. And I realize that Oklahoma's loss is a quote-unquote good loss because Texas is who they lost to, and Texas has been playing very good football this year. But, man, I just don't see the committee keeping out Ohio State, if you know what I mean. I get Oklahoma's got the history, too. But are they really going to turn down Saban Urban? They're not turning down Saban Urban in the semifinal. They're not.
Yeah, I don't think so either. By the way, I was wrong. They did not get divorced. That couple, they're still married.
Dang.
Sorry, guys.
Just imagine if you were married and somebody's like, hey, didn't so-and-so get divorced? And that never happened.
I'm sure they're not going to listen to this.
I'm sure they're calling in.
Hello?
Yeah, right.
Okay. No
Yeah,
need for that kind of language, sir.
Maybe we'll have live call-ins at some point when we're listened to.
If we're ever alive. Spoiler alert, we're not live.
But college football playoff, do you think that Central Florida has a chance? What if Ohio State, Georgia, and Oklahoma lose? Is Central Florida in? Because Central Florida is probably going to be ranked 7th.
I'm going to give Central Florida I'm going to give them a bid.
You're going to give them a bid?
Yeah.
You want to see Central Florida play Alabama?
Yes. With the backup quarterback.
Congrats, Central Florida. You made it to the playoffs. Now you get to play Nick Saban and a well-rested Alabama football team. Have fun. Yeah, I bet. So do you think Georgia has a chance to beat Alabama? Or do you think this one's going to be another comfortable win for Alabama?
I think Georgia's going to give them a handful.
You think so?
Yes.
Do you know that at one time Georgia had Todd Gurley, Sony Michel, and Nick Chubb?
How insane is that? That is a dominant 3 running backs.
Alabama at one time had Kenyon Drake, Derrick Henry, and Alvin Kamara. How insane is that?
Yeah.
That's pretty good. It's pretty tough. That's pretty good recruiting. Albeit Kamara transferred to Tennessee, but still. Imagine being Alvin Kamara and you had a transfer from Alabama to a different school because you weren't getting enough playing time. And now you're like arguably the best running back in the NFL. Like arguably. Probably not.
Georgia knows how to pick up running backs, don't they?
And then, I'm talking about Alabama right now, but Kenyon Drake is like not nearly as good as Kamara right now.
Not even close.
And Kamara sat behind Henry and Drake. I mean, I get it. They're not all the same age, but it is interesting to note.
Yeah, I mean, you always can look at the top teams for the best positions, and like with running back especially, that's harder. I feel like it's harder to find than like a quarterback or a wide receiver or something like that. Mm-hmm. Because you got to fit your scheme. They got to fit like a power run or a speed run or a spread option type thing. And honestly, those 2 teams, Alabama and Georgia, have probably the best running back prospects of the last couple of years. They from them in moving into the NFL, they have some pretty great running backs in that alumni section.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, do you think we're going to see any surprises in these conference championship games? Clemson's playing Pitt. Clemson's favored by 26 points.
Favored by 26. That feels like too much.
Against Pitt, who's ranked 24.
Well, they just lost to Miami 24-3, so I kind of get it, but I still think that's a little much.
Do you think Clemson will lose? Or are they a lock?
I wouldn't say that yet.
Alabama, Georgia. Alabama's favored by 13. Is Alabama a lock, or do you think Georgia will give them some problems?
Georgia's definitely going to give them some problems.
You think so?
100%.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Notre Dame, obviously, they're idle. They're waiting. They made it to the college football playoff. There's nothing that can happen that'll keep them out.
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma, Texas. Do you think Oklahoma will beat Texas this time? They've lost to them already.
They've lost to them already?
Yes, sir.
There's always that revenge kind of games.
Oklahoma's favored by 7.5.
Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say Oklahoma is going to lose or Texas is going to lose. I'm going to say I'm going to take a risk here. This is going to be an overtime game.
Okay. The Red River Rivalry Part 2 this year. It is at AT&T
Part 2
Stadium.
True.
AT&T Stadium. Kyler Murray sounds like he's going to retire from football and join, was it the Oakland A's? Oakland A's drafted him last year?
It's
probably the smartest move.
Probably get paid more because
don't get concussions
and no salary cap.
There you go. I think he gets like an $8 million signing bonus if he reports or something like that. Anyways, hey, why don't we take a break? And then when we return, we have news and notes in the world of sports that we need to get to.
News and notes in the world of sports that we need to get to.
Yep.
I like it. We'll get right on that when we return to you.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome to the last segment of the GSMC Sports Podcast. We talked about the NFL, NBA, and college football playoffs. Now we're going to go into other matters at hand. We're going to just keep in college, though. Mack Brown, a legend in the world of college football, he was the coach of the Texas Longhorns when they won the national title game in that epic Rose Bowl in 2006, is now in his second tenure with the University of North Carolina Tar Heels.
Yes, he gets to go back to the University of North Carolina.
He was there in the 80s and early 90s, 88 to 97, if I believe so.
Yep.
And now he's returning with a lot more on his resume. Do you think this is a good pickup, or is this too late to pick up? Too late to sign a guy like this?
I think it's a name. Like, I think it'll help with giving some momentum and credibility to that program. I'm not sure if Mack Brown is, I don't know, the best coach long term for this program. He is 67 years old. Not that he doesn't have some good years left in him, but you just got to think like he's probably there for 4 or 5 years rather than a possibility of 10 years. Like maybe when you hire other coaches, you have this idea of they'll be the next legend at your school and they're going to be there for a long time, but I do think it gives credibility. We know that Larry Fedora, he was let go as a coach. His team just kind of floundered when he was there. I don't think he was terrible. I don't think he was good. He was just a guy. But I think it will be decent. It'll at least jumpstart the program and make them nationally relevant again. What do you say about this?
Nationally relevant, that's a strong to start with, to be sure. Because Mitchell Trubisky was kind of what they put him in the limelight, oddly enough. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I don't see them going very far, like national championships or really nationally ranked up there. But, it puts them in like, oh, they have a great coach. That's all I got to say about that.
There is an opportunity here, though, because the ACC is pretty down. Wouldn't you say? Like overall, that conference, maybe at one time the most
it's
popular.
called the basketball conference for a reason.
But at one point, it was one of the best conferences in the country.
Yeah, it was. Now it's, again, just for one sport.
Like, you got Clemson, who's been dominating, but Florida State, I mean, that's a big school. That's a prominent school. It's just, there's an opportunity here, though, because who else in that conference is challenging Clemson? Who?
Pittsburgh.
There you go.
Get it? Because get it? Because
there you go.
Because they're in the ACC
and they're in the conference championship.
Yeah.
But other than that, there's an opportunity here for him. So, anyways, did you hear about the news out in Jacksonville? Not only did they fire their offensive coordinator yesterday, but they also will be without Leonard Fournette as he is suspended 1 game by the NFL for his sideline fight against the Buffalo Bills, and I guess post-ejection antics in the tunnel. And Blake Bortles has been benched. The Jaguars are 3-8.
I'm kind of surprised by this.
Mm-hmm.
Because Cody Kessler is the other option. I mean,
Cody Kessler, step on up, my friend, because you are now the quarterback of the 3-8 Jacksonville Jaguars. Do you think that Blake Bortles' career as a Jaguar is done?
probably.
You just signed an extension.
Him getting benched and him losing his starting job, and they know they're not making the playoffs. If they draft a quarterback, then we know it's done.
They just gave him an extension, though, so do you think that might keep him around?
No. I think they're going to be like, I take it back.
Because I think they still owe him, like, I don't know, $35 million over the next 2 years. So it'll be interesting to see. All right, so last thing I want to talk about comes from the NFL world again. Reuben Foster. He has been released by the San Francisco 49ers for another domestic violence incident, alleged incident in Tampa Bay. And the crazy part about this, Jeff, he was arrested at the team hotel.
How? Okay, a couple things with this. Why on earth is this happening at the team hotel where all your players are and all your coaches are? And second, why?
Is it with the same woman who had the first alleged offense with?
I'm not 100%, but I believe it is an ex-girlfriend.
It's the same woman.
Yeah. And she said, quote, he slapped me in the face.
So he got off of the other one because she said that it didn't happen. She recanted her story, which meant that there was no charges.
But if she says it again,
him,
then there's something there. There's something wrong.
I'm just wondering that if a woman who you're dating, if this really happened where she almost ruined your career, like if she did lie, why are you still hanging out?
That's a good question.
I mean, hey,
I'm
not really here to judge. I just would say if it was me and somebody said, hey, you know, you did this and it was a complete lie, I for sure would not be sticking around with that person.
We'd be looking at them in the same direction.
So Reuben Foster is proving his critics right. The critics that didn't want to draft him because they said that he had some issues off the field. He most likely will pass through waivers. Apparently, it sounds like no team will claim him. They have until 4 p.m. Eastern time today to claim him, and then he can be signed by any team. Do you think that he gets picked up this year?
No.
He's obviously going to be facing a suspension. I mean, he probably won't be suspended this year, but he will be facing a suspension. I mean, it's just, it is what it is, right? So
I don't see him going to any team, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know if he gets picked up this year, but he'll get picked up, right? I mean, we're talking about a first-round talented linebacker who, yes, he's had some problems, but some team's going to pick him up. There's a lot of players in the NFL who have had more of a rap sheet than him that are currently playing. So
True.
I wonder
But
where
this
he
early
lands.
in his career?
This early? Maybe. I don't know. But, hey, Pac-Man Jones is still playing football.
I really don't know how. Because he's not really that good, to be completely honest with you. He's old. He's in his end of his career. I don't know why he's still playing.
We see guys with on-field and off-the-field problems that, you know, are good at their on-field jobs, so they continue to get paid and get, you know, playing time and sign with teams. So we'll see what happens. But, I mean, he'll for sure get picked up by somebody. We'll see who it is.
Yeah, if you come up with any teams that think they'll pick them up, please tweet us, Instagram us, at Jeff Malinoff for me for both, JEFFMALINOFF, and
At Mark
Hella gets it. Has anyone actually tweeted at you?
No, just like presidents, but no one really important, you know.
What?
Don't at me. Okay, you can at me.
So Donald Trump at you?
Yeah, maybe Donald Trump will at Mark Hella gets it and say, yeah, I think Reuben Foster will play with the Dallas Cowboys.
All right, that was a terrible joke. Anyways, Thank you so much for joining us.
Dalton's also on IR. Andy Dalton on injured reserve.
I think they know because he's not getting into the playoffs why risk hurting his thumb more.
The team that started off 5-2 is now 5-6. Anyways,
It's very sad.
We will see you tomorrow. Please join us for our sports.
Please,
podcast.
we're begging you. This is how we make an income to our families. Bye.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.